powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to Sleuths Unleashed, unraveling criminal cases with your podcast hosts Victoria Kennedy and Susan Gonzalez. In this podcast, we dive deep into the world of crime solving, exploring both the mysteries that baffle and the breakthroughs that inspire. Whether it's cold cases, unsolved disappearances, or the innovative techniques that crack the toughest puzzles, we bring you stories that captivate and challenge the mind. Join us as we uncover the truth, one case at a time. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and let's get sleuthing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 7th episode of our podcast, Sleuths Unleashed, today. And today is going to be part 3 of the Jason Abarca case. Again, we did want to give a shout out to the page we have for Jason. It's www.justiceforjasonabarca.com. And there you can kind of look at some of the updates. We give the podcast link. There's YouTube videos of Chronicles of Olivia. She did a podcast, or not a podcast, but a YouTube video on the case and did a couple episodes. So you check that out and see what that's about, which you get like more visual of the family and the area and things like that. So today we're going to start off with where Jason had wrecked the car on Star Tannery Road. 1153 Star Tannery Road is where we have the accident occurring at. And them going about 1,200 feet with a canine dog from the crash site and losing his scent right at a gate that opens up to a field where you can go into other properties. So, and there seemed to be fresh tire tracks, and they figured that Jason had left and called somebody to come get him and wasn't in the area anymore. So they weren't really doing anything. And then down the road, they have a eyewitness that comes forward saying that they saw Jason running up a hill with a light towards a certain area. And about an hour and a half after the canine search, we have the Frederick County bringing out drones, thermal drone, to search the area. We're not quite sure where the eyewitness, we're going to call him James, is saying that he saw him running up the hill, or what time frame, because we have two different time frames. We have the parents that were told by him directly at 1:30, and then we have the police saying it was at 10:30. So there's kind of a discrepancy there of what time frame this guy was actually seeing Jason. Because we also don't have any proof that the drones were done. There's no video proof. There's no thermal video proof. There's just them saying that the drones were brought out. So he ran up this hill. They saw him up here. They went up and checked this cabin out, and there wasn't anybody in this cabin, I guess. So they went back to their house, and they called the police. And the police brought the drones out, like I said. And then, so when you go in this gate where they lost the scent, there is a field that you go through, and then you run up a hill. So that may be the hill they're talking about. And then once you get up to the top of the hill, it's a very steep hill back down. And it goes to another road once you keep going down it. So if he was running up this hill and he got to the top and started going back down, you would think that he would have like scratches, cuts, tears, rips, and everything in his clothing, or he had fallen down the hill and just like rolled and different things. But at the same time, it's like when you go halfway down the hill or partway down the hill, there's this tree, and in this tree it has a V shape. And in this V-shaped tree, you'll find that's where they found his body. And like I said, if you check out justiceforjasonabarca.com, there's a map where you see the crash site, where they sniffed his body out to, and then where they eventually found his body, which we'll get to the finding his body soon. But I want to say, when you run across that field and run up, it's a steep hill drop back down. So when we get to talking about his body, you'll understand why I'm talking about it being a steep hill. So at this point, they didn't do anything else really after that, except for they did allow the parents to come back out. This James guy did. And they talked about search areas and allowing them to search certain places, but they were kind of just like, you can't go here, you can't go here, and you can't go here, but you could search these areas. So they made them stay in specific spots, and the area they did not let him search is eventually where they will find his body. But that was one search that was done with just the parents and the eyewitness. Um, and then on January 3rd, that's where the eyewitness comes, or where the big search comes in. But I do also want to mention this James. His wife is the sister of a police officer that lives next door to them. And that police officer next door to James that saw Jason running up the hill stated that his barn had been broken into that evening, or may have been broken into that evening. They're not quite sure, but there was tools strung in areas. And then we really didn't see anything else. I mean, he said there might have been little footprints, but he's not sure if he left the stuff out or if somebody, came in there and rummaged through stuff looking for something. So that's another issue too. But these people, we don't have any questions, like investigative questions to these people. So we don't know like what they saw, what they didn't see. There's no interviews. So that's another big part of the interview. I'm just trying to say the police did not do a lot on this, so kind of follow along. But yes, when we could get to the body part, now we have the search on January 3rd. And this is when the police officers come in to search the area.
So the whole planning of this search, I feel that it was just one of those random plannings. I know that the sergeant or the chief, whomever it was that was overseeing this search, I just kind of feel everything was just kind of thrown in. Okay, let's do you, let's get you, let's also use you, but it was not done thoroughly. And kind of listening to many different parts of the audio, you have this chief or this sergeant who praises himself for his wealth of knowledge. But as we kind of continue to dig deeper and deeper into this, I can honestly tell you that I'm not really sure or certain where he feels he has this wealth of knowledge, because there was not that follow through that was being done. And it had taken so long to actually get a search going on. And this is winter. There's snow, there's ice. So I'm not really sure what the big hesitant was. Was it because he was allegedly tagged as a fugitive when his mom was calling him, calling this police person and saying, my son's having a mental health episode. Please go look for him. Like, where did this fall through the cracks at? But let's kind of get back to the January 3rd, 2024, when an organized search that was conducted, with the initial planning being done at 1544 Star Tannery Road. That's where it started. I mean, this was a search of 28 tasks that allegedly were completed. There were no alerts or interest using human remain dogs provided by the Department of Emergency Management for Virginia. My apologies, I obviously cannot talk today. There was no clues or remains that were located by the ground teams or ATV search teams. And looks like the sergeant said, okay, well, let's go ahead and suspend this search. But kind of going back to any type of body cam, we have ground teams and we also have a ATV search team. Why were their cameras not on? When you are going and searching for an alleged fugitive, or you're going and searching to do a recovery, they have their cameras on. So what happened? We have all these people there and not one single person had their body cam. Why? Who are they trying to save? Who are they trying to cover up for? Is it the chaser? And I already called him out on the last podcast. So I guess we're not really going to know that. January 6, 2024, the sergeant received a phone call from the dispatcher saying that they received a call from another address saying that they had found on their trail camera dated January the 5th that there was a Hispanic-looking male wearing a blue coat with a hoodie, and he had some type of a red stocking type cap, holding a cell phone, walking in the wooded area of their property. Now, I want to emphasize this again. He did not have his cell phone. When he was found, there was no cell phone with him. So the sergeant went ahead, reviewed the photograph. He said that that he didn't think it was Jason. He said it was another adult, a male adult that was older than him. So he went ahead and he sent the photograph to Jason's mom, and she did not recognize who this person was, and they don't have any family members currently at that time searching for Jason in the area. So the sergeant then requested that dispatch send a reverse 911 for residents to check their trail cameras, ring cameras, and security cameras for this individual or Jason for the past 2 days, reported to the sheriff's office. Why was this not done at the very beginning when Jason went missing? Why did they have to wait so long? That's what I don't understand. Everybody has cameras. We all know that there's trail cameras, especially if it's hunting season or if you own a large property. A lot of times they're going to have trail cameras that are only set off by motion, so that way it doesn't drain that battery. So why was this not done before? He's just now saying, okay, I want them all to check all their video sources. This should have been done at the very beginning. Because you have to remember that video is only going to be stored for so long. And who knows, we could have already have had so much more information if he would have did that at the very beginning. On January the 9th, this is when a deputy spoke with the owner of Four Corners Restaurant. He said he was going to check his security cameras from December 13, 14, 15, and 16, but he could not find anything on his cameras. And then it kind of goes on to say that as of January 25th, 2024, there is no additional information that they can actually provide at this time. So what was going on then between January 9th and January 25th? I can pretty much say that it probably took the owner of that restaurant, let's say like 3 days at the most, to kind of check for that video footage. I'm assuming the sergeant probably said, hey, can you check your cameras between, let's say 1,300 hours to 1,400 hours, for as an example. I would hope he would not send his deputy into this restaurant to speak with the owner, and it's just like you have to go through all this video for that day. But again, it would not surprise me. So let's say if he went all the way to January 16th. So between January 16th and the 25th, what was going on there? There's no new information. So when did the owner of Four Corners Restaurant check his video camera? There's just so many different questions. I wish I could be there in that room and asking all of these questions. So on February 5th, 2024, the sergeant received a text message from Jennifer, who is the mom, requesting to know how to obtain a report. So that's when the sergeant says, hey, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to call the mom. And he said, hey, in order to obtain all the information, you're going to need to do a FOIA request. And from Frederick County, Winchester, Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office. Okay, so there's 3 different areas. We have Frederick, we have Winchester, and we have, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right, Shenandoah. I could be way off.
Shenandoah.
There you go. Thank you for that, because I'm totally way off. Too many letters there.
Exactly.
So, did the family receive these records? They did. But there's still things that we're missing. Again, where is that photograph? Even though the family said no, that is not Jason. Where is that photograph? Is that photograph date and time stamped? Does it have a GPS coordinates on that photo? Because a lot of times the cameras, even if it's a trail cam, is going to have a date and time stamp. So where is that? I want to see the date and time stamp. And did the family even know to look for that or even to ask for that? Was this photograph altered in any way? Again, so many questions, and I want to know. The owner of the Four Corners restaurant, did he even check his video? Did he check his CCTV system? Because we're going back, a couple of weeks basically. So does his system even hold video that long? Sometimes restaurants only have like a 5-day video retention.
Yeah.
So did he say, hey, I'm not going to have video from that time? And law enforcement never said anything to the family? There's just so many discrepancies. We have no video. Why don't we have any video? Why don't we have any drone video? Why don't we have any search video? Why don't we have any ATV video? Why? That is my biggest question. Why?
And why not keep the mom updated? Like, she would reach out and text him and ask for updates and ask what's going on and ask different questions. And sometimes they would just ignore her, flat out ignore her. They wouldn't even respond. They wouldn't give her anything. They wouldn't even just let her, we don't have any updates, but we'll let you know when we do. I mean, they would give her nothing. They would just leave her wondering for days. So I have no idea what law enforcement was thinking in this area or what they were doing. They handled this case ridiculous. They didn't follow any guidelines. They didn't look for anything that they should have been looking for. Um, they didn't follow up on anything.
No, not one thing. They never even followed up with the chaser to say, give me some information. They never did that. And not only that, but they even saw fresh tire marks. Did they match those tire marks with that red Toyota? Did they match those tire marks with the chaser's car? I mean, there's just so many things left unsaid. Okay, there's fresh tire marks. Are there photographs of those tire marks? Did you take photographs of the tire marks? Did you go around the area? Did you see, where those tire marks started and where they actually left off at? What's
Right.
the
And it
width
could have
of
been
these
anybody's car that comes down that road, though. I mean,
Yeah.
fresh tire tracks. How do you know they're fresh from him being picked up? How do you not know they're somebody else drove down that road right before or right anytime, just a little bit before it wrecked or things like that? You're just saying because the scent ended there, you see fresh tire tracks go there, so you just assume he's gone, and then you don't search for him anymore until a eyewitness calls out and says, "We saw him running up the hill." So then you bring him back out, but that's an hour and a half later. But if he was where you said he was, how come your drone didn't pick it up? And if you don't have good drones, how can they pick up a deer carcass? So that makes no sense to me either.
How do we even know it was a deer carcass? Do we have video of that? Do we have photographs of that? We don't have one piece of evidence that they did what they are saying that they did. Show me.
Exactly.
Show me. Prove me
Not one
wrong.
person that night had a camera on from now you can see video footage of everything leading up to the crash site, like when they stopped other people thinking it was him or things like that. You can see the body cam footage of that, or them turning their sirens on and chasing after somebody they think might have been him that got called in. You know what I'm, because I've watched some of those videos. But then you have no video, no pictures, no nothing Well, you have pictures of the car and things like that, but you have no video, no canine footage, no body cam, no cruiser footage, no drone footage, no nothing from the time that he wrecked that car on. None. All of the law enforcement, all of them didn't turn their body cams on. Nobody had cruiser cameras. Nobody had video cameras on their drones. Nobody had video body cam footage on canines. I mean, isn't that kind of just interesting that all of a sudden nobody has any video? Nobody turned their video footage on, but it's required to have a body cam. But you didn't do it, and nobody did it. So that's kind of odd to me.
Oh, it's just odd in general. I mean,
Well, especially when you've got an eyewitness, his wife is related to a cop that lives next door to where the crash happened. And he's a drone pilot, and something like that for law enforcement. So it's like he knows all of that. Then you have him saying he was in his garage, maybe, possibly, and they found a shoe print that might have matched him. But it's like nobody knows for sure, but nobody did any due diligence on anything just to follow up and have camera footage of anything or call these people in to question them. It's not even interrogating them. It's just to question them to find out what they seen, what they heard, what might have happened around the property. And then, your video footage, it's just like poof, this whole thing just disappeared. Once the crash happened, they thought they were looking for a fugitive. And as you heard on the last podcast, once they thought it was a fugitive, oh, well, that's totally different than looking for a missing person. Well, I don't know what the difference is. I mean, I guess a missing person's not armed and dangerous and create so much havoc, but a fugitive is. But that doesn't necessarily, there's so much going on there that it's still an investigation. You still have to follow the same rules. You still have to investigate people. You still have to video people. I don't know why you didn't do your job. Why you didn't do your job to give this family its due diligence into the investigation of their son's death. And you just didn't do it. And you messed up, and you need to own it, and you need to make it right. And go out there and give us the video footage, because I know somebody has to have something. You can't tell me all those cops out there, not one person videoed anything. And then in the camera or in the trees, you have pictures that say, "Smile, you're on camera." And none of those cameras out in the fields were working either. That just does not make any sense to me at all.
when it comes to this whole entire situation, and I've said it before over and over and over again, this was poorly worked from a department that the sergeant says, we're a great department. I started, whatever search and rescue. We are the ones that pretty much are able to run it and do what we need to do because we have that knowledge compared to other agencies. But yet they didn't do anything. I mean, kind of going back in retrospect to what you said, we have the fresh tire marks. We have an alleged footprint. Well, is this a print that this person was barefoot, or is this somebody who it's a shoe print? Was that photographed? Were you able to match that with Jason's other shoe? Because remember, there was only one shoe that was found with him. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
And, I try to look at things through different perspectives. Yes, I'm a medium. I see things, I hear things, I get little flashes, little images. I do. But I try to look at things through different perspectives as well. But I just feel that he was dragged. I feel he was dragged by a person. Actually, I should say by persons. Not just one person, but by at least like two or three. And he did not go inside of somebody's barn and try to steal tools. Because looking at that photograph, those tools are perfectly laid out. Perfectly laid out. So this kind of goes to show me that this person who's saying, hey, somebody was in my barn or my shed, whatever they want to call it, and I had some tools that were out. Well, if somebody was in your barn in a rush, you're going to have tools scattered all over the place. And what was he going to do with the tool? Was he going to use it for a weapon? This is still a young man who is having a mental health episode. So he was scared. He had a kitchen knife with him that did not have a tip. It was broken. He could not
But
cause
he didn't
any
even take
harm.
the kitchen knife with him out the car, though.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't.
It was found in the
So,
car.
so what is he going to use? There's nothing he could use. If anything, he is going to hide until the coast is clear, until he does not hear anyone else, because he just wants it to go away. So he's going to hide. But unfortunately, this is someone that was dragged by people. He was. So this is why we have a shoe that's missing.
Right. It was never found anywhere.
No, no.
And that's one thing. If you drag a person, that a shoe could fall off while you're dragging them. I mean,
Oh,
of course, it can
yeah.
do it while you're running too, but it's the perfect way of things happening because so we have the mental health aspect of it, and we have him missing pieces of his clothing, but you still have the mom out there worrying for him and trying to find him and things like that. So she calls Winchester newspaper, and they write an article about her missing kid and trying to find him and letting the people know, hey, we're still looking for him. He's missing. He has, mental health issues, things going on April 2nd. And then the very next day, you have Winchester PD put out an article saying that he's a wanted fugitive. Not an article, but they put out a picture and make it a big commotion saying he's a wanted fugitive and we're trying to find him. And so then that gets that back out there again, that it's a wanted fugitive only and to look for him because he's armed and dangerous. And back onto that route again, right after they post about the missing kid. So I don't even know what 3 months later, is it 3 months later, January, February, March, April? About 4 months later, they're still on this harping of a fugitive when he's been missing for 3 to 4 months now. The family's not seen him. The mom's called every day telling him, I just want him in jail. I don't care what you guys do as long as you get him in jail and he's safe. So why would you even care about putting out the fugitive, wanted fugitive when a missing persons report goes out? Because we're just still looking for him. If you think he's still running around wanting to do something dangerous 4 months later, I mean, it boggles my mind. And then they have nothing going on. And it was April 29th that they found his body. And it was found by the people that own the property, correct?
And this is where it gets very interesting when it comes to the search and to the drone.
Right, because if you remember right, I said that the gate was open. There was fresh tire tracks. They thought he had got picked up, but you could run through a field, up a hill, and then you'd go back down a steep hill. And when you go back down that steep hill, halfway down, they find him hanging in a tree. And he's not just, I understand jumping up in a tree, you're trying to, this area is so huge. There's so many places to hide there that I don't know what jumping up in a tree in the middle of the dark where you can't see anything. You're not going to jump up in a tree and try to see who's around because you're out in the middle of the wilderness in the middle of the night and no lights, no nothing. So it made no sense that he would jump up into a tree. But at the same time, if you understand where his body goes, if you go up the hill and go down, you have all this brush and everything. that would scrape your clothes, scrape your arms, do a whole bunch of damage to everything, like tear things as you're running down this. And he may, you'd probably trip, roll down, do whatever, like have a few falls, things like that. He doesn't jump up the tree on the way down the hill. Supposedly, it's somehow he is down past the tree and he comes back up and jumps up the tree from behind. So he's going up a slant and jumps up this tree and gets his foot stuck precisely perfect with his foot pointed down and his knee bent and his body hanging down the tree. So if you can kind of put the little print together, and if you go to the website, you can see a sketch of his body. So you'll kind of see where it's like an angle down and how there's no way a person's going to run down the hill, then back up and jump into a tree from behind up an angle and be able to get that much height to get up and get his foot precisely stuck perfectly, almost like a ballerina foot, if you think about it. Perfectly tilted down into this tree and his knee bent and he's hanging from the tree and one leg hanging down the side of him. So almost like his leg was broke or something had happened to where the leg was hanging down beside his head. So his foot was almost to his head. He had no sock on. His shoe was gone. They never found the shoe, but the sock was near the area. And then his jacket was laying right next to him, not a scratch on it. And his hoodie was hanging over his head, half off of one arm, and you can't see the other arm in the hand. And then his white tank that he had underneath that was rolled up to his chin. And that's how he was found. And his pants on his leg were ripped right by his thigh bone.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of it, the area was not there. A lot of it, like it's cleaned, like almost like something had, an animal. But that was the only part that was cleaned like that. No other part on the body was cleaned like that. There was other parts that were, maybe you could tell something was there and kind of nibbled away at maybe some of the parts. But it wasn't like the leg part that was completely, like a whole part of it was gone.
So we also have to remember that he was very athletic, extremely athletic. So he's running around in the pitch dark, one shoe only, which to me is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So why not just say the heck with it and just get rid of the other shoe, right? But
Right.
there is no way, I don't care what anybody says, that he said, "Oh, let me try this," and all of a sudden, somehow, some way, he ended up getting his foot stuck in that tree. I don't care what anybody says. When the search was done and they found this alleged carcass of a deer using their drone, the drone that has absolutely no video, I mean, they could find a carcass of a deer, but they cannot find an actual person. So we kind of have to think about that. Was he there when they actually had the drone up? Was he placed there after the fact? I think so. I feel that he was not there when the drone was kind of flying over. I feel that he was there after the fact, and not only that, but looking at these photographs, which by the way are just horrific. At that time, he would have much more decom compared to what the pictures actually showed, regardless if it was winter or not. He would have had apparently there was animals that were out there, and we could see some things from the photographs. And I really don't want to get too in depth with this because because I know that the mom is probably going to listen to this. But we can tell that there was no big, large animals around. I mean, he was all 100%. He was all there. He didn't have any limbs or anything missing. But there was this one photograph that actually stood out to me. And there's a photograph of both of his hands clenched. So just think about it. If you are in a relaxed state, your hands, I mean, they're not gonna be clenched, but they're gonna be a little bit closed, right? But if you are kind of made this mistake and now you got your foot caught in this tree and now you're hanging kind of upside down, think about it. Your hands are going to be completely open. But in the photographs, his hands are clenched. So what was he holding on to? Who was he holding on to? What was going on?
And why do his nails look completely fine? You know what I mean? His nails look completely fine. So if he got stuck up in a tree, wouldn't he be fighting to get loose? And
You
when
would
you're
have
out there with the
scratches.
drones, you're going to have a kid wailing around in a tree, huh?
You would have scratches on the tree.
You're going to have a, yeah. Yeah. And you're going to have, and bark doesn't grow back that fast. And then you're going to have a kid wailing around in a tree. How does your drone not see that or pick him up if he's right there? I mean, why? And he's an athletic kid. If he would have just kept running straight, saying that he was running that way, he used to go running for miles, his mom said. He'd wear this mask that even helped to learn how to breathe longer without running out of air when he'd go on his runs to help him. So he could hold his breath, he could run far distances. It wasn't like this kid needed to stop and take a break. He could go. So if he'd have just kept going, he would have got to another road and he could have just headed off somewhere else. And to me, it doesn't seem like he was going to stop because he didn't stop in the car. He didn't stop anywhere else. So why was he going to just stop in this random tree in the middle of the night to try to look and see if he could see anything when you know it's dark? And this is hours after he'd taken all that Adderall, the extra Adderall. So, things are starting to slow down. It's not like he's going panicking at full speed like he was in the beginning with the Adderall in his system completely. So, and then for his coat to just be lying there with no scratches, not one scratch. You run through a field and you're running through these trees and you get no scratches on your coat that you have on. Even if you took it off when you're hanging in the tree, because people are like, well, hypothermia. Okay. But even that thought process, if you're hanging in a tree and you remove your coat, there's still going to be scratches on it because you ran through a whole bunch of thick brush. I mean, there was not one scratch on it. So how do you explain that? And then for his foot to get perfectly stuck in this tree, I mean, he had no shoe on one foot and a shoe on the other foot, and that foot happened to be the one that got stuck perfectly in the tree. I mean, this kid had muscle, so he would have fought to try to get loose. I mean, he would have been wiggling and scrambling and everything else. So that just doesn't add up to me either. And scratch marks, people are going to scratch for their life if they're stuck somewhere and trying to get out. I mean, everything, it just doesn't match up to anything that they're saying. Anything.
And kind of going back to what you said about his jacket being there, this jacket was perfectly put there. This person literally just put the jacket there. And when I say this person, I'm not saying that it's Jason, because it's not. It was whomever these people are who actually went and caused him bodily harm, put him in that tree, and ended up leaving him. And this is the end result. He's no longer here. Now, these individuals who put him in the tree, this is what they do with animals when they are going and they're wanting to hunt or they're wanting to attract a certain type of animal. But yet, nothing was searched. When they went and when I say they, meaning law enforcement, when they went and we're thinking, how are we going to get him out of here? They did not wear any type of booties on their shoes. They did not have any type of anything on, so that way they would not disturb that crime scene, because it was a crime scene. They were walking around. Sure, it was taped off, but they were so careless. So I wanted to know, okay, well, was photographs taken of that area to see, were there any broken branches? Were there any, weeds or whatever that were broken? Because if so, well, let's kind of do some more searching then. Okay, well, I look over here to the left, nothing seems to be out of
And you
place.
wouldn't know because,
Yeah, you're not going
well,
to
and
know,
you wouldn't know
especially
because
not.
they wouldn't let the parents go up there prior to that.
And
Yeah.
why would you not allow the parents to go up there? I don't care if I own 200 acres. If a parent came to me and said, my child is missing, this was where they were last seen, can I search your area? Absolutely. You can be here as long as you want, for however many days. You can come back. You don't need to ask me. But if there's wild animals, bears, whatever's there, I'm just not responsible for you. But yes, you can go and you can search. Just like the dad. The dad had a drone and they didn't let him use it. Why?
And that's what we want to play too. We want to play a video of the dad talking about the search, um, and about some of the things that he felt was like red flags. So there's a little excerpt that we have from the dad right now that we can play that just kind of gives you an idea of what law enforcement kind of did to him and the family, and kind of the different things that, like the eyewitness and everything. It's just a little snippet of him, the stepfather, telling you what exactly took place during this time frame that he was trying to search.
And the big elephant in the room, Riverside FM. the landowners, they invited us to their property. They invited us to search for Jason. They dictated where we could search, and they also dictated where we couldn't search. And where we couldn't search is where they found Jason's body. Huge red flag, right? They also had an issue with a drone that I had brought out with me. They said that Frederick County had used drones the night that he wrecked the car. Oh, they came out. They looked with heat-seeking drones. They didn't find anything. They found a carcass of a deer. The carcass of a deer. That's what they found, which was dead. So you're telling me they couldn't find Jason, who was dead that night? And another red flag with that is they saw Jason the night of the accident. They were an eyewitness. They saw him. They were 100% sure they saw him. But no investigation is conducted on Jason's case. Zero. When you have all these red flags and no investigation happens. No trail cams are checked. No one is questioned the way they should have been questioned. Nothing. And they were the only resident on Start January Road that reached out to us. They were the only one. No one else reached out to us. That right there just screams, screams suspicion.
Okay. So one of the things that I noticed during the time that we were listening to the audio is that people were so rude to the mom, actually to the parents. We had the records department who contradicted everything that the family was saying, especially the mom. was over talking her, and you can tell it's as if the mom was bothering them. Well, I already sent you this. Don't you have it? No, I don't have it. Literally, I wanted to just, I mean, if I was there, I would want to grab that phone and saying, no, I do not have it. Do you think I would want to keep requesting the same records over and over? I don't have it. And there was things that she was naming off, and the mom was like, I don't have that. And they went back, and the records, the record girl, that's what I'm going to call her, she says, oh, well, it says here that it was sent to you on whatever day and time. Well, I don't care what your records say. I don't have that. I have this report, but I don't have that. And then talking to law enforcement, there was a time where the mom actually thought that they blocked her because she was calling. Well, of course she's going to call. She's a worried mom. She wants her son to be found and to be safe. And she even told them, look, I am not trying to dismiss what my son did. I want him in jail so that way at least I know that he's safe and he's alive. This is a mental health related issue. And to them, it's just like, well, this is a fugitive, basically. They did not listen to the mom. And on these audios, law enforcement is over talking her, which means that I don't care what you're saying. Talk more about themselves and how great their search team and their rescue team is compared to other agencies. You have a records department girl who so rude, even when the mom spoke with the medical examiner's office. Again, they're just rude. It's as if they're thinking, "Oh great, it's the mom." Well, yes, it's the mom who is paying your paycheck. It's the mom who is supporting your horrific search and rescue team because you have no idea what you're doing. And yes, this is the mom who is providing a job for you in that records department. So do we have to be rude? Can they not show compassion and kindness to this mom? I don't know how the mom is able to keep it together. I would have been a disaster. And I know that this is bringing up a lot of memories, and it's probably triggering her a lot. I cannot even begin to imagine. I mean, regardless of how old or how young your child is, it's still your son. And all she wanted him was to be safe. And law enforcement at one time, like I said, oh, she's calling too much. I guess let's just block her. The mom even said, I think that they blocked me. But then all of a sudden, law enforcement comes back saying, I guess they were out of range, out of training, or out of meeting, whatever it might be. There's always an excuse. Always an excuse. Like when is it finally going to stop? When are you actually going to take ownership and say, you know what? You're right. We totally messed up. Our body cams were not on. Our drone footage was not on, or maybe we just deleted it. We didn't take photographs of the fresh tire mark. We didn't take photographs of that footprint that was there. We didn't we didn't interview the chaser. Like, can they just own their shit? Just own it.
And the more and more I pay attention to this case and get into it and start and just kind of putting together everything that these people did, it's like nobody wants to help this mom. Nobody wants to give her any help whatsoever. Nobody wants to explain their position of what they did that night that this happened. Like the chaser, he doesn't want to talk. He's just like, who cares about hashing that up? Why do we got to bring that up? You know what? Because people want answers. If it was your child, you'd want answers. But it's not your child, so of course, you don't want answers. But it's not your child and the police officer because you don't want answers because it's not your child. But leave it to be somebody else's child, a mom that's out there begging for you to help her find her child because he's got mental health issues, because his brother had committed suicide 6 months before. He was going down dark path. He was going through things, and she's letting you know he needs help. Yes, maybe he did do a few stupid things and he, He took a car from a lady, but he didn't hurt her. He did not assault her violently. He asked her to get out of the fucking car, and she got out of the car and he took off. He didn't violently assault her. You can even see that on the video footage from the restaurant that she was out of that car fast. And it just makes me so mad for this mom that she has to sit here and continue to try to fight to get justice for her son anyways. There's absolute no reason that these police officers could not have done their job. An investigation is an investigation, whether it's a fugitive, a missing person, a murder case, a dog case, any kind of investigation that these different departments do. IRS, I don't care. They're all investigations. They all have responsibilities. They all have requirements. And if you are required to have video footage, as police officers are, then have your video footage on. There's no reason that none of you have video footage. There's no reason that you can't go back and reconstruct the accident. Look at the back end of that car. It was hit by something. You can see on the picture we used for the podcast, of the last podcast. See where the arrows point to. There's dents in the back of that trunk. Don't tell me that you went down a 12-foot embankment and a tree did that to him. When the back end is smashed all the way up like a military-style ram, you didn't do your due diligence. You didn't have your footage with the canine dogs. You didn't have your footage with the drone. The kid did not go down a hill and then run back up it and jump up a tree to get stuck in it and hang there without fighting to get free. And then you have a drone out there and you can find a deer carcass, but you cannot find a kid flailing from a tree. None of this makes any sense. You didn't do it. You didn't do the investigation. You have police officers living in the areas, so you don't know what these police officers in the neighborhood are doing while this kid is running around trying to get away from things. Plus, he's hanging in a tree. Part of his leg is, where the bone, you can see the bone when they find his body. To me, that's the only part that was gone. And his stomach, you can see perfectly clear. No part of that was disturbed. But some animal attacked the part in the leg. And to me, that's like, was there an open wound there? Was something happened? But there was no blood in the car. Very little blood in the car. So where would that have wound came from on his leg if that's where the animals went to first? Because that leg part was higher up than the stomach part. And you're talking about animals going for meat, fatty parts, different parts of the body. And I hate to start discussing this because, of course, the mom. But look at that. An animal's going to go right for where an open wound. That's where any animal you have is going to lick that area. Like if you have a scratch on your leg or an open cut on your leg, they try to. So you can't tell me that if there's no blood in the car, but yet you still have this kid and a piece on his leg, but nowhere else on his body completely gone like that, and you're going to tell me that he did that to himself? There's absolutely no sense. And fresh tire tracks? No way. No way. He didn't even have a cell phone. And the light that they saw running up the hill and that they 100% knew it was Jason, there's no way. He didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have the lady's cell phone. He didn't have his cell phone. He had no light. So what are you talking about? What did you see really? What do you know really? That's what gets me.
And here's another thing, right? So when he was in that tree, once the autopsy and everything was done, now they were not able to find a cause of death in the investigation. Now he also had a cranial fracture located along the base of his skull, and it cannot be determined if the fracture occurred pre or post-mortem. Now there are some scenarios that they actually threw out there, which the fracture could have occurred as a result of the vehicle crash he was involved in while he was evading law enforcement. It could have occurred as a result of him striking his head on the tree when he was found. And third, it could have happened when they had to actually remove him from that tree. I don't see how that's possible. Now, this is a young man who was upside down. And where those fractures were at, No, it's literally like a T, like a capital T, of how
Well, if
those
you read the
fractures are.
anthropology report, like I'm just saying, it says that they dropped him and he dropped 2 foot from that tree and onto his head because they had a black bag underneath him to
Yeah.
catch him, the body
Hmm.
bag, but it
Yeah.
was only 2 feet and it was on the top of his head. So that wouldn't make any sense either.
No, it's not. This is because this is murder. This should have been a homicide investigation. And like I'm saying, there was a total of 3 people. He was dragged, he was then taken to who knows where, and he was placed in that tree. As far off as it may sound, he was placed in that tree. The weather conditions when he went missing, it was winter. There was snow. Compared to when they found him, his body would have his body would not have been located as it was. I mean, was he in bad condition? Absolutely. Absolutely. But he was not out there that long during that duration. They found a deer carcass, just like we said. They couldn't find him. That's because he was not there. This is a young man who was murdered. Like, as I mentioned earlier, he was murdered by 3 people and he was dragged. That is why he's missing a shoe, because he was dragged. And eventually he was put on that tree. And why do they not allow the family to go and search that area? Oh, well, there's wild animals out there. Um, I don't care. I don't care if I come across Cujo. That's my kid. I want to find my kid.
Right. And when they did the January 3rd search and you did a 25% radius, why did you not? Why did you go more to the left and miss that area? Because if you would have done a 25% radius and stayed in that area, you would have found him then on January 3rd. If you do the 25% circle around where the car crashed, you would have found his body.
If he was there.
Right. But
Yeah,
they
if
didn't.
he
They
was there.
went more off to the left and they didn't go to that area.
I really feel that they are protecting someone, and now it's kind of came to the fact of CYA, and it is annoying. On the last episode, I called out Frank, and I'm going to
Yeah.
do it again. I feel that Frank needs to be questioned. I feel that he has more knowledge about everything that's going on than he cares to actually say, and it's bad. It really is, and anyone out there, I truly feel that this family needs to sue. Now, it's not going to bring back their son. It's not going to heal that void that they have. But
But this should
maybe,
never happen to anybody again.
yes, exactly. Maybe once they do this, so if there's any pro bono attorneys out there who can help the family, please let us know. We have we have a telephone number that any type of tips can come into. If you're, like I said, a pro bono attorney, please call the
Or you
number.
know someone?
Yes, the number is 240-321-9002. That number again is 240-321-9002. So if you know of someone, if you're an attorney, you have any tips, any leads, you have any other information that can help this family, please call this number. Every call that comes into this number will be kept confidential.
And there's also an email address. So if you don't want to talk or you can text that phone number, there's an email address, justinforjasonabarca@gmail.com. You can send emails to the family as well. And then on the website, as we said, justiceforjasonabarca.com, if you go to that website, you can send in tips, send in any files, attachments, send in messages. You can also look on there and help donate to the cause to the family to help them reopen the case, fight for the justice to go after and help get this case reopened and help fight for the mother, for the father, for the siblings that are still, here, that they're all wanting to make sure that they get the help they need for their family and get the they just want some sort of justice. They want somebody held accountable for what they did, and this could happen to anybody's family. So if you have any information whatsoever or anything that can help this family in any cause, just reach out. Reach out to any of us. You can email us at sleuthsunleashed@gmail.com. There's so many different things now since we have a website, an email, Google website, uh, phone number. We have so many ways to contact us. So please, please reach out, help this family. Let's get this going. Start sharing, start letting people hear about this case. Start with our podcast, start sharing our podcast, let them know. And then let's help get this mom and dad justice and just help make a better place for people because no family should ever have to go through this. I'm just pissed for the mom that she even has to remotely go through this. I mean, the fact that all of this is taken as long as it's taken, and this has just gone on long enough. So if anybody can help, please help. Please get in touch with us. We're available. The family's available. We're willing to do whatever we need to do, fill out whatever we need to do. The family is very cooperative. We'll do what they need to do. If they need to fill out something, they need to talk to somebody, call somebody, they'll do whatever they need to do to fight for this justice. So just reach out to us.
You know, I've worked with families all the time, and I can honestly say that this family has been one of the best families I have ever worked with. They're kind. They want to they don't want any drama. They literally just want that help. They want that help so that way another family does not have to go through this again. And I'm pretty sure, okay, and I'm just from being a logical person, not being a medium, I would not be surprised when this starts to kind of hit media and those stories get out there. I would not be surprised if they start getting calls saying they didn't they were in certain situations very similar to theirs. Because if
Right.
they mess up on one family, I'm pretty sure there's a billion and one fuck ups.
Correct. Correct.
So
And it's happened to
let's
other cases. I mean, we've have other podcasts on here where it's happened to other cases too. So, I mean, there's cases still out there where people are missing and things are quite not what they seem, and police just kind of dodge and hit and miss and do things and the way they do things. So, you know, yeah, this family is wonderful. They're great people. I've never met them in person. I've talked to them a lot, back and forth, and we've been communicating, and they are great. They are great people, and they just want justice. Like I said, they just want justice. And she only wanted her son to be found. She did not care if he had to go to jail for what he was doing and the ruckus he was causing before. She did not care about that. She just wanted him found because she knew he was in a dark place right now, fighting off the depression that he was going through from his brother that he looked up to so much. So just understand he was a kid, he was going through a lot, and we all have our breaking point. And for a mom to be like, hey, I know he's done this, but please just find him, put him in jail. I don't care. As long as he's safe, I don't care. And you heard it from her own words in the podcast too. So please, if anybody out there knows anything, just reach out to us on all of our accounts. We've given them out. Share our podcast. Please get the story out there. We need to get it more attention so we can bring more people to it. So maybe we can get this family help and get it brought out and people to be held accountable for what they've done.
This was actually going to be our last episode of the podcast regarding this situation. But I am so irritated at that police department that I feel on our next podcast we're going to have some dish on this police department. So
We will
I'm
do a
pretty sure
follow-up.
there's going to be a part 4. Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a part 4. We will definitely keep everybody updated on what we've found out or what's out there and going on. So just keep listening, follow us, share us, get this story out there because this family really is really great, and they've done a lot. The mom's documented everything. She is terrific. She
Oh,
has
she
everything.
rocks.
So
Yeah.
so don't I if I was you, I wouldn't want to mess with this mama, but I think you already did it. So you out there that know what is coming is coming. So documentation she wasn't playing with her kid. And she did a fantastic job for being somebody that didn't, was going on the whim of everything with these law enforcement officers. So
Yeah. Kudos to
but it's
mom.
coming for you.
Kudos
Yes.
to the family.
Definitely. Kudos. She did great. But so we're going to go ahead and end tonight on this, but go ahead, share everything, get everything out there, and we will be back at you next week with some new information, some new cases, maybe an update. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll surprise you. But please, please share this Jason Abarca case. Get it out there.
I
Have
would
a great
like
night,
to
everybody.
wait, hold on. I would like to kind of give
Oh,
a quick shout out really quick. I'm sorry.
all right.
I really want to thank Olivia for kind of sharing our information. Being able to work with other people and there not being any type of chaos or drama. That's what we're all about. We just want
Yeah.
justice for the family. So Olivia, thank you. So yeah,
Any other
just
podcasts want to pick this up? Go for it. Like I don't, we don't care. We just want his story out there to help the family. I do want to give a
absolutely.
shout out to the stepdad though. He is fantastic. Like he
Oh
has been on
yes.
it, making sure that the mom doesn't have to go through all this reliving it over and over again. He's been doing his due diligence on everything and just following up with us, answering all our crazy questions at any time given time when we start going crazy and asking wild questions and theories and things like that. So he's been fantastic. So I don't want to leave him out because we were thanking the mom, but the stepdad has been amazing as well. He's done everything he can. He's hard at work and he's got a lot of information, a lot of knowledge too. So let's just make sure we give him a shout out where shout outs are due as well.
Go stepdad.
Yes. All right. And then that ends our podcast tonight. And we'll talk to you all next week. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you for joining us on Sleuths Unleashed, Unraveling Criminal Cases. We hope today's episode sparked your curiosity and gave you a fresh perspective on the art of crime solving. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with fellow sleuths. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and until next time, keep unraveling the mysteries of the world.